In this video, we're going to talk about using records in Python. So records are pretty commonly used in business applications and all kinds of applications. And with a record, we're talking about creating a formatted or pre-formatted series of data about something. Okay, so you'll have fields for each record or each item in your list. Okay, so for example, if we're doing employees, each employee will have a name, an ID number, and a department. Okay, in this example. Okay, so the name and the department are strings, and the ID number is an integer. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to simulate like a spreadsheet where we would have rows and columns. So each row represents an individual employee. Okay, so for each employee, Bob, they would have a name field entry, an ID field entry, and a department field entry. Okay, all that together is Bob's record, and you would have a record for each employee. Okay, so the way we're going to do this, we're just going to write each of these to a file with a new line character. Okay, so before we've had a number, the same number on every, or I guess a different number, an independent number on every new line. But this case, we're going to have record one, record one, field two, record one, field three, and then go to a new person, record two, field one, two, three. So we're going to have repeating name, ID number, department, name, ID number, department in our file. Okay. So we're going to treat them as if it's a whole record entity, but they're actually just stored in the file in that way. Okay. So I've got here a program that kind of does this or gets it started. We'll go through how this is created. Okay. So we're going to create a record for each employee. We're going to save it in this employee.txt file. So I'm putting in my comments the record format just so there's no question. So we have a name, which is a string. We have an ID number, which is an integer, and a department, which is a string. Okay. So in my def main, I'm going to start off by asking how many employee records do you want to enter? Okay. So from a design perspective, a program design perspective, it may actually be better to have this in a while loop with some terminal character, or ask them if they want to enter another one. You don't always know how many you're going to have. So I'm not sure how practical this is, but it does make the coding a little simpler and we can focus more on the file. Okay. So we ask how many they want to enter. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and before we do anything, open the file for writing. So this opening of the file for writing is a little bit problematic in some ways. Okay. So I'm going to say it's equal to open this employee file, what that's doing to me. No, it's actually employees txt, okay, which doesn't exist yet. Okay, and we're going to open it. And here's where the controversy comes in. And I'm taking this program from the book, from the textbook. They're opening it for write. Okay, so that means it's going to kill any existing file that's there. Okay, so I think actually a safer thing to do is an append. So what the append is going to do is that as you add new records, it's just going to add them to the end of the existing file, which it will not recreate every time. So you have to figure out which of those that you need. The write is a pretty dangerous tool because it will wipe out everything else that you've done. Okay. So we'll go ahead and open this one up. Okay. And now since we know how many employees we have, we can go ahead and do a loop to count. So we're going to say for C in range of the number of employees they want. Okay. That'll go through for each one. Again, that's a little awkward, but it's okay. Okay. So we now have to get the information. So we're going to get employee information for the record. Okay. So that's going to start with, okay. So I guess we can put a little header here. The book does enter data for employee number. Okay. And they're making the assumption, which may not be a good assumption, that we're just going to say employee number one just from that list. Okay. And we're going to put our separator here being equal to just a space. Okay. It keeps it a little closer together. Okay. So we're going to print that. I think it doesn't want a space there. I think that's its issue. Okay. So one thing I want to do before I do anything else, I always forget to close the file. That's not a good thing. Okay. So let me go ahead and close that before I do anything else. Okay, so I'm basically asking to enter the data for the employee number. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and put in a new line character there just to make that stand out a little bit as we're running it. Okay. So then I'm going to say name is equal to input name. Okay. And I'm going to say ID is equal to input ID. Okay. Now, ideally, this is an integer, and we could do some testing, but we're going to get to actually later in this chapter some testing. But in this case, we're just going to keep that as a string because it's going to be a string in a minute anyway. If they enter something incorrect, we won't know until we try to read the file. And that's kind of a problem in some ways because we don't want to write junk to our file. But for right now, we're just going to pretend that's not an issue. Okay. And then finally, we have the department equal to input department. Okay. And again, I'm going to go ahead and tab all of these, make them look a little nicer. Okay, I'll tab those over. So now that I have all this information, okay, I'm just going to now write data as a record to the file. Okay. And records aren't anything special. It's just the way we create them. Okay, so I'm gonna do a write. I'm going to start with name plus the new line character. Okay, that'll write the first, that'll write the name, that'll give us a new line character. Then do an emp file.write the ID number, the ID plus a new line character. Okay, again, that's going to be an integer eventually. But for now, it's going to be a string. And then finally, the department plus a new line character. Okay. So once we've done that, we've asked them for the information, we've given them the opportunity to type that information, we write it to the file. Okay. That should be all we need to do. So now I'm going to close the file, which is important. Okay. And then you can here just give the user a little message here so they know that something good happened. In fact, you could even say, what number did they do? Num. So we can do num employee records written. Okay. I don't know why I did all that. That's all I need. Num employee records written. Okay. And again, I'm going to put a new line character in there to make the life easier. Okay. So this should be how we write a file. So let's go ahead and do this for a couple of them, and then we'll take a look at the file. Okay. So I'm going to run this particular file. How many do I want to enter? Let's enter 2. Okay. So we've got Bob. That's employee number 0. I probably want to, I mean, 0 is okay. You could just add 1 to that when you're printing it out, and that may be a little more straightforward for folks. Okay, we've got Bob, his I number, D numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, his department, and I didn't get that one correct. But formatting wise, let's do sales. Okay, we've got Alice. ID number is 4567. Let's say she's in engineering. Okay, 2 employee records written, which seems okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now and fix those errors. So we've got that. Okay. And the other thing we can do here is change this to a C++. Okay. And that will fix those up. And then if we actually look at this file here, should be right there. And you see, we just have the name, the ID number, the department name, ID number, department, and so forth. Okay. So that's, relatively straightforward for us to use, I think. But it's a powerful concept. So it's something that we want to keep looking for. Okay. And I think that's all we need to talk about in this particular video. Again, I did 2 videos this time to keep them a little more shorter and choppier. Okay. But hopefully that will get us started on doing some more stuff with files.